My Little Universe, written by Equestria Ongoing. Welcome to Beach City. It had only been one night since the result from yesterday's fiasco. Since it was dark by the time they got back and settled down, they didn't really spoke to the ponies just yet, so they didn't really get to know each other yet. All they did get were the names, but that's it. The very fact that these multicolored ponies were even here at all was a bit of something new for the gems to deal with, as if they didn't have enough to deal with. As for the ponies, the new place seemed a bit different from home. Until they could figure out how to get home, there's going to be some getting used to. As the morning sun rose over the horizon, it brought on the exit house. The mountain was created into a special monument, and it was built in a way that it connected to the beach house like it was holding it. The house seemed pretty advanced. The roof angled off in one direction, with the other side lower than the other. Within the house actually didn't fully connect around an entire wall connecting to a crystal cave. The actual house part was built from wood and had a sort of cabin look, many of the rooms within one. The kitchen was right at the front door, along with the steps leading to the second floor. The living room was right next to the steps, with some comfy couches, and a fireplace over by the entrance of the cave. On the second floor was Steven's bedroom. It consisted of a bed, a small TV with a gun cube next to it. While Steven would normally sleep by himself, the new pony guests had to sleep with him. Rainbow Dash, Applejack and Pinkie slept on the couch, Rarity slept on Steven's bed, and Fluttershy and Twilight slept by the foot of the bed with some sleeping bags. Soon, Steven got up, stretching his arms and yawning. "Morning world," Steven said aloud. His voice got the other ponies up, and Pinkie jumped right up upon hearing the voice, jumping right off the couch and up into Steven's room as happy as ever. The racket was enough to wake the others up, Rarity first from Pinkie landing on Steven's bed. "Goody good morning." Pinkie beamed. "Pinkie, please, not so rough," Rarity said, trying to get herself up a bit easier. However, Pinkie was too excited to stand still, hopping in place on the bed. Steven, despite the wake-up, was laughing all the while as he bounced on the bed from Pinkie's jumping. As for Rarity, she ended up falling off the bed. Only then did Pinkie stop herself and got off the bed as Rarity got onto her hooves, brushing off the dust from her fur. "Pardon me, Steven, but could you kindly tell me where the restroom is? I could really use some freshening up," Rarity asked. "Just over there," Steven said, pointing to the small hall where the bathroom is. With a nod, Rarity went down the stairs, and went in to get herself ready for the day. Twilight and Fluttershy got themselves up soon afterwards, a bit rough with a case of bedhead, but fine. Applejack and Rainbow Dash got up too, and only then did someone else enter the room from the cave area door, Pearl and Amethyst. "Oh, good morning, everyone. Did you all rest well?" Pearl asked. Suddenly, Pinkie was all up in her face about it. "Positively, and my dream was awesome. It was of little flying waffles, and I was flying on a giant pretty waffle while flying over the ice cream sundae mountains with gummy bears and lollipop flamingos," Pinkie said, rather quick for Pearl to even catch on to. Even if she did, it was too weird to understand. "What? You too?" asked Steven, equally happy. Fluttershy went over to Pearl as Pinkie went back to Steven. "We slept fine," Fluttershy cleared up. Soon, Amethyst was already in the kitchen, getting a snack, as Twilight went down the stairs. "Thanks again for letting us stay," Twilight said to Pearl. The gem nodded, though Pearl had been a bit curious over these talking quadrupeds since finding them at Rose's garden. Though, they seemed friendly all the same, so they didn't bother Pearl too much. Didn't mean she didn't have any questions for them. "It's no issue at all," Pearl replied, though her mind was still thinking. Though it was a bit odd to find them at Rose's garden. Were they there all this time? Or, while Pearl was thinking, suddenly Pinkie was staring intently at Pearl's gem on her forehead, seeing a reflection within the gem itself. Pinkie looked at it like she would a funny mirror, making some funny faces in it and giggling all the while. Eventually, Pearl got a bit fed up with it, giving a look mixing annoyance with boredom. Suddenly, Pinkie got on her hind legs to get some silly shot of herself and Pearl's gem, but suddenly she tripped on top of her. Amethyst started laughing soon as Pearl and Pinkie hit the floor. The noise was enough to get Rarity out of the bathroom, fully freshened up and Mane looking good as new. As they were, another figure was watching over them as well, enjoying every second of it back in his own world, some popcorn by his side. Discord. "Oh, Pinkie Pie, what a funny character you are," Discord said while laughing. Back in the house, Pearl looked to Pinkie with some annoyance. "If you wouldn't mind, Pinkie Pie," Pearl said. "Oops, sorry," Pinkie replied, getting off of Pearl. Pearl quickly checked her own gem for any sort of crack from the fall, but luckily her gem was fine. However, the quick check did get some attention from the ponies. Rarity looked over the gem on Pearl's head. "You alright, dear?" Rarity asked. "I think so," replied Pearl. "I have to say, the gem looks simply divine on you." "Where did you get it?" Rarity asked, as Pearl sat up. "Get it? I didn't get it anywhere," Pearl remarked, confusing the unicorn. "So, you stole it?" Rainbow Dash blurted out. "Absolutely not," Pearl yelled. However, Pearl quickly calmed herself before explaining. "My gem is the center of my being, the source of my existence. If anything were to happen to my gem, it can deeply affect my being as a whole." The ponies were a bit taken aback but interested in the explanation. None of them realized how important their gems were to them until now, especially Pinkie. "That explains a bit, actually," Twilight said, a hoof to her chin, thinking. "Yes. And also explained how someone should be more careful with her gems so this doesn't happen again," Pearl said, referring to Amethyst, who was stuffing her face with a bag of chips. "Big deal, I'm fine now, quit your nagging," Amethyst said, gobbling down some more chips. Even if she was close to dying, she still survived, so Pearl shouldn't be so squawky with her. "Amethyst, if you were a bit more careful, we wouldn't have to go through all that to save you." "Hey, it's not my fault the cliff collapsed under me. It is your fault you were playing around up there in the first place." "Gems, enough. Not in front of our guests." Suddenly, Amethyst and Pearl stopped arguing amongst themselves as Garnet came in to see the others. "Morning, Garnet," Steven said. Garnet nodded to Steven, as Pearl and Amethyst went off to do other things. After that was taken care of, Garnet turned to the other ponies. "Sorry you had to see that." Don't worry about it," Rainbow said, flying up to her level of sight. Twilight then went over to Garnet, the alligator nodding upon seeing her. "It's nice of you to let us stay for the night, but now we need to get going," Twilight explained. The news bummed out both Pinkie and Steven. They just got there, yet they had to go so soon. Already," they both said, Pinkie hugging Steven. "Pinkie, you know we can't stay here forever, we have to get back home. Who knows what's going on back in Ponyville?" Twilight explained. Suddenly Pinkie realized what Twilight meant, her mouth agape as she let Steven go from her big hug. "Gasp, you're right, Twilight, I got so many sweets to make at Sugar Cube Corner, my apple brownies, cookie cakes, dandelion muffins, time to go." Suddenly, Pinkie was off like a rocket, nearby charging through the door just to get out and get going. The other ponies got outside to the front towards the beach, Rainbow trying to catch up to the pink mare. Before they tried to go though, Rarity went over to Steven and Garnet. "Goodbye Garnet, Steven, hope we can meet again," Twilight said, waving her hoop for a goodbye. "I'm sure we will," Garnet replied, as Twilight went off after the others. Though normally just a friendly gesture, to Garnet, it was a little bit more than that. After a little bit, and looking to Steven, Garnet came to a conclusion. "Steven, perhaps you might want to go with them. They could use a guide through Beach City," Garnet instructed. Steven became excited on hearing that, a smile regrown on his face. "Really? Oh, thank you, Garnet," Steven said, giving a quick hug before going inside to get himself ready to go. Garnet smiled a little bit as she looked out to the beach, seeing just a small glimpse of the main six going off on their own in order to get home. Meanwhile, Discord was still watching it all from his personal TV set. He was a bit more interested in what was going on with the main six rather than the crystal gems, so, with some Discord logic to boot, Discord fast-forwarded the screen until it got back to the main six, standing nearby Beach City. No one in town saw the group just yet. However, those that they did see made things a bit more confusing for them, seeing so many odd creatures walking around. "What are those things?" Rainbow Dash asked, looking at the humans. "I'm not sure, but maybe they can help us out." "I'm sure one of them must know where Equestria is," Twilight replied. Sure, she already got the idea that they weren't in Equestria, but Equestria wasn't the only land in the world. Perhaps one of these people must know where it is and get them on the right path. However, the main question was who to talk to. The first thing they did see was a shop, with a large, chocolate-sprinkled donut on it. It looked like a small donut shop, one that Pinkie was eyeing for some time. Even from where they were, Pinkie could easily smell the sweets from inside the shop. The other five didn't notice Pinkie's reaction just yet, more wondering if they should check it out or not. On one hoof, it could help them out a little bit, and maybe get a bite to eat, but on the other hoof, if they end up freaking out everyone inside, it could cause a lot of trouble for them. "Okay, girls, I'm not sure how they'll react to us, I doubt they've seen ponies like us before. So, we should approach this." Before Twilight could finish, suddenly the group saw that Pinkie was gone. Next thing they knew, Pinkie Pie was right at the donut shop, immediately heading right in with little to no prompting. Pinkie! They all gasped. Back with the pink mare, she was looking around from within the donut shop. It seemed fairly sweet. A few tables here and there, along with vending machines and coolers along the wall too. Posters, advertising many different snacks, were also along the wall. To the back of the room, the counter was easily seen. While the door did ring from the bell, the counter keeper looked over, yet she didn't see anyone. Pinkie was immediately at the counter, so she didn't see the pony coming. The person at the counter was a teenaged girl, appearing 16. She looked a bit stocky, blonde hair, and her shirt had a donut D on it, possibly work clothes. "Welcome to the Big Donut, can I?" She suddenly stopped when she saw nobody there. However, some pony was already ready to go. Soon, the girl got quite a surprise when Pinkie got up on her hind legs, her usual high, ringing in the air. The worker nearly fell on her back upon seeing this sudden pink thing pop up in front of her. Pinkie still had on her smiley face, her tail wagging a bit as she looked around at the yummy treat options. The girl at the counter calmed herself with a sigh and got back to the counter. "Oh. Hello there, can I help you?" she asked. "Yes indeed. I'd like a chocolate sprinkle, berry jelly, snowflake, Hawaii pretzel, strawberry filled, chocolate with nuts, pineapple, blueberry." "Whoa, whoa, whoa, slow down," she suddenly said, stopping the quick jibber-jabber from the pink mare. She still needed time to write this down, but Pinkie's quick talk was a bit too fast for her to catch everything and write it all down right away. She cleared her throat and got herself ready. "Sorry, can you repeat again?" "From the top." Pinkie nodded and repeated her order to the girl. What came off was a bunch of donuts, many of which were different from each other, and also included some soft pretzels to boot. It was quite an order, but she took it all in, and got everything written down. Some of those she wasn't sure if they actually to have, now that she had time to think about it. The main five waiting outside, watching Pinkie make her order, and noticed that the girl was surprisingly going with the flow, and this was Pinkie they were talking about. Pinkie, the most redmond jumpy of the main six, and she handled her quite well. Still, to be safe, they waited for a bit back outside. There's no reason to completely overwhelm her with 6 multicolored magic horses in the shop. "Alright, that'll be 12.99 please," she insisted. Pinkie got into her pockets, yes, ponies have pockets, go figure, and got out what she thought was easily enough to pay, 13 bits. Pinkie waited there with a smile, but the confused look on the worker's face made it a bit awkward. She took one of them, and bit into it to be sure if this wasn't fake money. They were gold in color, but the exact value was unclear, though they appeared like pure gold rather than just simple $1 bid pieces. What is this?" she asked. "Bits. You take bits, right?" Pinkie asked, not as awkward feeling as the worker was. To her, bits are either a part of math, or a type of horse mouthpiece for racing. After a while, she decided to take it, even if they weren't money, they were still gold, and gold can be worth plenty. So, she ringed up the cash register, and added the bits in. "Alright, it'll be a bit, so, make yourself comfortable," she said, pointing to one of the tables. Pinkie happily hopped over and sat down as she went off to the back to get the donuts. Few minutes had pasted, and the main six didn't even get to go in by the time the worker came back with a box of requested items. The others remained outside, as Pinkie hopped over to the counter, got her donuts, said thanks, and hopped right outside. Course, the others didn't seem too kindly to having Pinkie simply bolt off like that. "What the hey, Pinkie Pie?" Rainbow snapped. "Donut?" Pinkie asked, hoping that'll calm the mood. Still, even if they got food, they still had to get going, and figure out how to get back, and if any pony, or anybody, whichever, knows where Equestria is, and how to get back. However, the pit stop gave another person enough time to catch up to them, Steven Universe. The human gem ran the whole way, having his casual clothes on. "Hey guys." Steven called as he ran nearby. "Steven. What are you doing here?" Applejack asked. "I want to show you guys around Beach City." "The Grand Tour," Steven announced happily, a big smile on his face. The main six looked around amongst each other at first. "Well, that's rather sweet of you, darling," but Rarity tried to put the words together, but Applejack finished for her. "We can't stay for much longer. We just have to get back home," Applejack finished. You sure?" Steven asked. "Sorry, Steven, but there's too much going on back home for us to just stay here." Back in Equestria, Discord was watching all of this with a bit of a rough taste in his mouth. It was way too soon for the main six to just leave like this, the enjoyment was coming in by the loaf full. If they just left, it won't be any fun and things will just be a simple drag. So soon. Let's see now aha. Suddenly, Discord conjured up a piece of paper from thin air and pulled a feather from his bird wing to use as a quill. Quickly, he wrote down a quick message for the main six to read. Soon as he was done, the feather disappeared, the message was rolled, and then he sent it off the same way Spike would send letters, with a green fire breath. Soon, the message went through Discord's seeing glass, and before the main six and Steven realized it, the letter suddenly popped up on the ground nearby. The group heard the letter land and turned to see. A letter? Twilight wondered, walking over to it. Almost immediately, she used her magic to levitate, and unravel the letter, Steven amazed and giddy seeing it. Soon, Twilight began to read the sent letter over. Dear friends, the catastrophic event back in Ponyville had ceased. We are aware of your disappearance but are unsure on how to bring you home as of yet. Working on the solution as we speak. We hope for your safe return soon. Princess Celestia. A rather sudden piece of information, to say the least. On the bright side, the message said two things. The vines were gone, and the princesses were back. Once more, the lack of rush was evident all in all. Steven was still giddy, stars in his eyes, upon seeing the Aladrin use her magic. That was awesome. How you did that? Steven asked. It's just some telekinesis, nothing big, Twilight stated. From a lad completely magical, just lifting up a simple piece of the scroll was nothing new for her, or for an Ipony. Oh, Saya, can I give you all the tour now? Steven asked, full of hope for a good answer. The main six wondered for the moment, thinking over what the message said. If their homeland was working on the way to figure out where they were, and how to get back home, wandering around away from where they were might not be the best idea. If they wander away, and Celestia would end up in Beach City, they'll be missed for sure. Besides, a guide around the place would be a better option. Well, I guess we can look around for a while longer, Twilight decided. Steven beamed, and immediately began his job as new tour guide to these forehead tourists to Beach City. For most of the day, Steven and his pony friends went all over town from there. After their visit to the Big Donut, the group got the full tour thanks to Steven, heading through Beach City from top to bottom, from the center down along the coast. Surprisingly, not many of the residents of Beach City actually saw them tour while Steven was blabbering on their tour. One thing good, no one will drive them out of town or anything like that. But that just begs the question, how much magic had this town actually got involved with? While they were putting that together, they also listened to what Steven had to say about many of the areas of town. They went to the pier, along the boardwalk, past the town square, and even went to some spots outside of the city, such as the golf course, or Brooding Hill. Among their tour around the place, they also stopped by a number of the stores and the eateries in town. Some of the spots include the Crab Shack, the Lighthouse, Suitcase Sam's, and a number of other spots through the town itself. Unintentionally, Discord was getting a bit of a little to himself, watching the ponies go around with Steven. One good thing here was that the ponies got the name of the species Steven was, humans. A name that the ponies weren't familiar with, but at least that was cleared up. Soon, Steven brought them over to their next spot on his little tower, towards what looked like a car wash. A single electric line connected to it, which allowed a neon sign of an elephant to shine, with the words "It's a wash" lit up inside it. It appeared to be in some sort of L shape, and, lucky for Steven, a van was parked nearby. Just who the boy wanted to see. Ladies, welcome to the car wash, Steven announced, a hand aimed to the place, as if an invitation for them to look around. It was an interesting building, the lights adding a nice touch, but the thing that got their attention was the van parked nearby. Being ponies meant that vehicles such as cars aren't really invented in their world, so seeing this large wheeled van outside got them a bit curious on what the thing even was, or what it was used for. The commotion from outside his van got someone else coming outside from the van. The man that came out looked a bit, well, out of it, way out, to Rarity's perspective. He tooled sandals, though he had on a sleeveless white shirt, and a pair of gray pants with cut-out leggings. He did have hair, but not on the top of his head and more flowing off the back. "Hey, Dad," Steven said, going over to his old man, as the man happily hugged and playfully gave Steven a good neggy on the head. "Hey there, big guy," he replied playfully as Steven chuckled. After that, he looked and saw Steven's tourists. Like before with the girl back at the Big Donut, the surprise was there but not enough to make it feel too uncomfortable. That didn't mean seeing multicolored unicorns, Pegasus, earth ponies, and an Aladrin didn't give off some sort of surprise. "Oh, Steven?" he asked, a bit unsure. Soon, Steven remembered the ponies. "Oh, right. They're my new friends, Twilight, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rarity, Steven introduced. He got the name soon after every pony was found back at Rose's garden. "Mighty fine to meet you, Steven's dad," Applejack said, nodding her head. "Greg, actually. Nice to meet you too. You know the gems at all?" "Actually, they were the first we saw." "Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you," Twilight made clear. He gave a sigh of relief after hearing that bit. "Oh, that's good. So, what are you doing here, Steven? Come to see your old man?" "Well, I'm in the middle of a tour, and I saved the best spot for last," Steven said. Before they could continue, Rarity was looking over what Steven's dad was wearing for quite some time. Leave it to the unicorn to look over someone's fashion sense. "Pardon me for intruding, but all of you, what are you called again?" "Humus." "Humans," Steven corrected. "Right, course. Anyway, all of you humans usually wear such, how do I put this? Rough clothes?" Rarity couldn't help but ask. Her human knowledge is close to none, and seeing a human like this, she needed some knowledge about that part anyway. Greg looked over his own clothes, thinking it over for a little bit. "Guess that depends on who you're talking to," he admitted. It didn't help too much, but Rarity didn't want to come off as too much of a nosy pony. As for the others, Rainbow was flying around the van, trying to think over what it was. It didn't look like any wagon, or carriage, or whatever. No harness, the main way to sit on top or nothing. Eventually, Greg saw Rainbow Dash flying around it. "What is this thing?" "Some weird carriage?" Rainbow Dash asked, completely clueless as she flew and sat down in the driver's seat, still looking around. She saw through the window, seeing the wheel and gear in front of her. She still didn't have any clue what it is from him there, as Steven's dad went over to the driver window. No, it's my van." "Cool, isn't she?" he asked, Rainbow still looking around. Pinkie Pie and Applejack were looking around the front of the van, about as curious as Rainbow was currently. "She doesn't look like it to me," Rainbow said, suddenly looking over the wheel. "Huh. Oh, no, my van's not alive. Rather attached though, really. Let's see what this does," Rainbow said, readying her hoof. Before Greg could remotely stop her, Rainbow's hoof slammed hard, right on the horn. The van's horn blared out for a full 10 seconds, the sudden loud honking noise startling everyone outside, including Steven. Pinkie was the most spooked, and bolted back, accidentally hitting Applejack behind her, and they both tumbled to the car wash wall. Rainbow stopped, removing her hoop from the horn, also a bit frazzled. But seeing the reactions was enough to make her laugh in spite of the situation. "Whatever you did, don't do it again," Applejack said, picking herself back up and getting her hat back on her head. Rainbow got out of the van soon after that, and it took a minute or so for the rest of the ponies to calm down. Greg knew that these ponies, wherever they were from, were far different in their home than his own. Personal experience told him such. "You six aren't familiar with this stuff, aren't you?" "Not really, sir," replied Twilight. The rest of the tour soon afterwards went on a bit more smoothly for the main six themselves, as Steven wrapped up their tour by that afternoon. It was a rather simple but fun day, though it didn't help them get any closer to figuring out how to get back home. Even if Celestia did send that letter, what exactly will Celestia do in order to find them, if she ever does, that is? With the idea in mind, Steven began bringing them back to the beach house, the group still wondering on what to do exactly. Discord, still watching from his own perch in Equestria, was beginning to get a bit bored with their going about in Beach City, though didn't do anything yet, Underland yet. With the main six, as they neared the beach house, Amethyst, Pearl and Garnet went outside to see them coming back. "How's the tour?" Garnet asked. "It was charming," Rarity answered. As Steven, Pinkie, and Rainbow Dash went off to tell the gems about it, the other ponies were still a bit thoughtful over how they were going to head back. "Hey, Tilly, you think Celestia will get us back soon?" Applejack asked. "Honestly, I don't know. I'm at least glad things have calmed down back in Ponyville, and the princesses are safe and sound," Twilight replied, which was true. Without Celestia and her sister, who knew what would happen? Still, with that problem, it made them in another area altogether. Even so, we're not sure how the others will handle without us to work the elements of harmony when needed. Besides, even if Celestia did find a way, an iPony would only guess how long that'll actually be before we're actually home. She's right. We need a plan, Applejack concluded. As Rarity, Twilight, and Applejack tried to think, Fluttershy did get one idea, though if the others would agree is completely unsure. Girls. What about who? Twilight asked. The Pegasus remained quiet, unsure if she should say it. However, the Alicorn didn't need her answer, figuring it out right away on who. Fluttershy, are you sure about that? Twilight asked, a bit firmer. I'm sure on it. He's the only one we know that can appear to us fast enough. I have faith that he will do it, Fluttershy replied. Twilight looked to Applejack and Rarity, who already got the same conclusion Twilight Sparkle did. Eventually, Twilight sighed. If they wanted to get home as soon as possible, it will have to be their only option in order to get themselves a shot at getting back to Equestria. After that was thought out, they went over to Pinkie and Rainbow Dash, summing up what happened on their tour through Beach City with Steven. Pinkie, Rainbow, Ken, Applejack called, after walking over for a second. Pinkie and Rainbow Dash turned around to the other ponies. What's up? We made our choice. There's some pony we know that can get us home, Discord. The name, while confusing the gems, got Rainbow and Pinkie unsure of it. However, just seconds after the name was said, I thought you'd never get to that part. The voice rang out for all to hear, and it apparently came from nowhere. While Pearl, Amethyst, Garnet, and Steven didn't know who it was, the main six recognized the voice right away. As they all looked around, suddenly the creature of chaos in question suddenly appeared before them. Or rather, on top of the gem home's roof. He laid down in a way a cat would, looking down with his good head and smile along his face. The gems were completely surprised seeing this sudden chimera suddenly pop up on their rooftop, when just seconds earlier there was nothing to speak of. Hello there, Steven, Pearl, Amethyst, Garnet. Have the ponies given you any trouble? Discord asked, in his usual tone. Still, the gems felt a bit uneasy, especially when he got their names correct down to a T. How do you know who we are? Garnet asked firmly. Discord disappeared for a second, only to pop up right behind Garnet. Relax, dear Garnet, there's no need to pull the big leader card on me, Discord said, suddenly popping up by Rarity and Applejack, hugging them both as he continued saying I'm just here to lend a talent and put some of my pony pals. Don't try to change the subject, whatever you are, Garnet replied, jumping down to the sand, as the other went down their footsteps. Oh, or are my manners, I should introduce myself. Discord reappeared by all the gems. I'm Discord, Spirit of Chaos. Word can't pass my ears, Discord claimed. Is that so? Garnet asked. However, her words literally flowed out of her mouth extremely quickly, each word caught by Discord's ears. The weird part was that the words were actually visible. In puffy, full-lettered words. Pearl was the most shocked, her eyes wide open in utter disbelief. She quietly turned to Rainbow Dash, who just shrugged. Trying to understand Discord's magic is just as difficult as trying to figure out that stupid chicken egg question of what came first. How did you? Before Pearl could finish her sentence, Discord popped up by her head, shrinking himself so he could sit down comfortably on Pearl's head. Amethyst tried to keep her chuckling to herself, though was finding it difficult to keep it in. Perhaps we haven't met. Discord, Spirit of Chaos, Discord reintroduced, laying down, his tail dangling over her eyes like an annoying piece of hair. Do you think a creature with the title will follow any logic in either dimension? Discord made clear, purposely making his tail tickle Pearl's pointy nose. Can we get to the point, already? Rainbow interrupted. Discord popped off of Pearl's head, suddenly acting like an opossum, hanging off Pearl's nose with his tail. Amethyst couldn't hold it back any longer, and laughed herself silly, enough to fall on her back with laughter. Clutching her stomach she was laughing so hard. All Pearl could do is flick Discord off her nose making an audible, cartoony sound of a shaky board. Discord popped up back to his normal size, immediately talking to Rainbow Dash. Must we rush the fun? Discord, we have to get home, Twilight demanded, a hoof stomping the sand. With a sigh and a smile, the Draconic simply snapped his finger, and a door suddenly appeared with a flash. Discord popped up by the door, as the main six walked over, along with the gems. Wait. That's it? Rainbow asked. And you expect a life-threatening journey to get yourself home? Yes, Rainbow said, a big bum out. So, wait, the door goes right back to where they came from? Steven asked, amazed as ever, stars in his eyes. Discord mimicked his eyes almost exactly, as his talon arm wrapped around his shoulder. To a land of magic and wonder, Discord said, his line panning out as if letting Steven envision the thing in front of him, magic as far as the eyes could see. Garnet picked up Steven and moved him away. Thank you very much, Discord. It was great for Celestia to let you come, Fluttershy said with a smile. Discord, however, suddenly pulled the same scroll out of Fluttershy's ear. Not to be a bummer, but I myself decided to come here to get you ponies, Discord said, blowing the letter into tiny leaves. Course, wished the fun would last since you arrived here in the garden. Discord suddenly reworked the scroll into a postcard, with him taking a selfie alongside the rose statue from Rose's garden, a fine, beautiful place, might I add. Especially with the water of pink roses, nice touch. Sorry about the vines, not intended to go there. Wait a minute, you knew we were here the whole time. Rainbow yelled, right in the Drakens's face. You realize you could have got us back home hours ago. Twilight added, equally upset. Discord didn't feel the slightest bit threatened. And to stop you from knowing your new friends and removing a valuable lesson as princess. What kind of friend do you think I am? Discord asked, pinching the Alicorn's cheek. Twilight just groaned and sighed as Discord popped up by the door, waiting for them. Twilight then turned to the gems. Well, guess we're going now. For real, this time, Twilight said. Well, I hope you were comfortable during your stay, Pearl hoped, making up for her annoyance from earlier. See y'all later, Amethyst said. The ponies nodded and began going through the door. Soon, all the ponies in Discord went right through the door. Soon as they did, the door shut and disappeared in a flash of light. The gems stood there for a bit until Garnet spoke. Well, they're back home. Let's go in, Garnet concluded, starting to walk towards the beach house, alongside the others. Soon, Pearl, Amethyst, and Garnet were back in the house, but, before Steven could go in, another flash suddenly occurred. Only Steven caught it though, the other gems not noticing. On the sand, there was a note, with a special golden key with Steven's smiling face at the handle. Picking up the key, Steven read the attached note. On it, there was a picture, showing a door, Steven popping the key into the door, and Twilight on the other side of it. Underneath the picture, there was a message, use on any door. Have fun visiting. Steven looked at the key once more.